Hey everybody, welcome to the Ask Us Anything. I was wondering if I should date these because as with all of these new podcasts, we got a few in the can before trying to resist making it in the can joke before we started the podcast, and the first one was from like June. So I was like announcing it was from June. I was like, are we still doing that? But anyway, it is October, so. Who knows when it'll air? But Sean was asking if in the intro, because you remember the new intro, and it's all wrong now. It says Johnny's got his White Russian, Dave's got his
Diet Coke,
or Diet Coke, which would be like two generations of wrong. And then Sean, I don't know what Sean's doing. And Dave, you're not doing the Diet Pepsis, right?
I'm drinking caffeine-free diet soda. I haven't given up soda completely. Right now I'm drinking Coke Zero.
He's weaning.
No, I'm sorry, Sprite Zero.
Ooh.
I haven't had caffeine since September 30th.
And before I finish because I was going to finish, and this is how important this is to finish my little thought there. Just can we get a round of applause?
Totally. Yeah.
For Dave. For Dave. I've been listening to The Walking Dave. Anybody who's listening to this, you should subscribe to The Walking Dave.
You
it's
absolutely
my favorite new
should.
show.
It's my favorite new show too. Have you listened to episode 4?
Yes, I listened to that today. I listened to 3 and 4 today.
I don't
Catching
know.
up, I'm binging like Netflix.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if it's 4 or 5, but it's the one where he talks about when he gets a craving and he just goes for a walk.
That must be 5 because I didn't hear that.
That one's awesome. Is 4 the one where he talks about stuff he's watching?
4 is the one in the hospital. Listen to us comparing like a couple of fanboys.
Like, I don't even remember what I said.
All right, Johnny, you'll love episode 5. Episode 5 is, I think, my favorite so far. The cat dying one was super good.
No, okay, hold on. Because
It was hilarious.
Everybody's gonna think that's a joke, but
It's not.
It isn't. It really, and it's when we say it's great, it's terrible.
But it's genuine,
right.
And it's heartfelt.
You get to the end and you're like, oh, this is the perfect tone for this show. No, 4 is Dave Goes to the Hospital. That's the one I just listened to.
Okay, so one of the things that I love about this show is that I can feel what it's going to be like a year from now.
And it's audio theater, too, so you get Dave struggling to walk now.
And all the traffic.
And that'll change, right.
And, like, there's just a random throwaway, I think it's maybe in this last episode, where he's, like, bitching about all the motorcycle people who are in Florida for the week. It's a great show. And I love Dave, and I love how hard you're trying, man. So just awesome. And, yeah, Johnny's right. Round of applause.
Thanks.
So to finish my thought, Sean asked if I had my White Russian, and I'm actually switching it up today. I'm having wine. I've been more into wine recently.
You dick. The only reason I made a margarita was because I didn't want to let you down.
I am drinking. Sometimes you don't even drink, and then where's the peer pressure in that situation?
Yeah, but I could have got a glass of wine. I made Cindy make me margarita, see?
And it's really fancy, too. I don't know if you can see this. This is our wedding crystal, because we never use these, so I got the fancy glass. Robin will drink out of a coffee cup and shit because she doesn't want to wash these. She's so classy. All right, so on to the questions. Somebody was asking if this would be a story shop Ask Us Anything, and the answer is no for a few reasons. Number one, because we already did one. Feel free to ask any Story Shop questions, of course.
But this is definitely not a Story Shop special edition Ask Us Anything. This is our October Ask Us Anything.
Right. So the reasons are because, one, we already did one. Two, because by the time most of you hear this, the funding campaign for Story Shop will be over. Like if you hear it on the audio feed, it will be over. It's on right now if you're live. It's on through the middle of November. And that's sterlingandstone.net/storyshop. I think we're 43% funded, so it's going well. But the third reason is we didn't, with Fiction Unboxed, we just punched you all in the face with Fiction Unboxed for a month, and we're trying to avoid that. It's funny, in our, I won't divulge who this was, but somebody in our company Slack was like, you just use it as a promotional venue. You got to do it because you're on. I'm like, no, we were such whores for the last
and as
one.
much as you guys hated that, we actually hated it more. It was not fun for us. So
for the record, it was not me who suggested that.
Yeah. So nobody thinks that, Dave. Nobody. Nobody thinks that. There are two story shop questions. I know that maybe we could maybe we'll address them if there's time.
Is this the part where the cynics in the audience think that we've just deflected, and now we can talk about it because we already said it's not going to be about story shop?
I actually think we should do it if we have time at the end.
If it comes up.
Well, we have those two questions, but we can always answer them in the comments. I know we'll probably talk about it a little bit on the regular show tomorrow when we record. So why don't we just get through the actual questions? Dave will handle it like normal with the comments, and I've got the Google Docs spread open, and I think you've got voicemails, right? So between all of that stuff, we probably have enough, and I can, I've been handling those in email and messages on Kickstarter and comments, and we can continue to do that. So I think we should just, if there's time at the end, we'll handle the story shop questions. But we have other places we can do that, and we should put other questions first.
There you go. And I just want to point out that now that Dave's on a day schedule, he hates us. He hates you all even more. It's in a totally different way. It's a totally different rhythm of hating.
Yeah, he says, "I resent our audience tonight."
I did not.
He did not say that. He didn't say
that. I don't feel like fucking being here. I think that's what I said.
Same thing.
But that's not really different from any other day.
No, but I like it because it brings you into the mainstream of what normal people think about being awake at night and doing stuff, and it's just interesting. It's a whole new Dave. It's a whole new Dave.
It is a whole new Dave.
But I was thinking about this we should do a worst show ever about how getting healthy won't ruin you, so that for all the people who are concerned, because I still see a lot of anger being possible, and that's really, let's face it, like anger is really what it's all about.
Yeah, that won't change.
So Dave's never going to be happy.
He did do an episode on how he doesn't like cynics, though, I'll just say.
Yeah, I don't like cynics, but I can be cynical about myself.
No, he said, I hate cynics, especially myself. I think that was the name of the episode.
So how do you want to begin here? Do you want to read from live comments?
I actually, just as a general manner, I like giving the live comments kind of priority because those people spent their night.
Showed up, motherfucker.
Right, I just think that's courteous. So
all right, well, our first question on YouTube 20 hours ago was from Sarah.
MG on saying,
No, I don't see him here. Sarah Y asking, how will I know if he really loves me? I don't know if she's doing song requests.
No, I got the answer for this. You need to buy a Gerber daisy and pick the petals. Start with "He Loves Me."
Make sure it's a Gerber daisy.
Yes.
Yeah, not some other fucking daisy.
No, because Gerber daisies have the perfect petals to pick, right? So then you just
tell us more.
He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me.
Oh wait. What's the difference between a Gerber daisy and a regular daisy?
Look it up, motherfucker.
Officially
you can Google that shit. No Gerber. No, it's actually a Gerbera daisy.
Oh wow.
All right. So anyway, you can pluck your petals, and at the very end, if the last petal you're on, he loves me, then that's how you know. I hope we helped.
Wow.
It's a safe bet. He doesn't love you, though, because nobody really loves anybody. All right.
I love that people think this show is too butch sometimes.
Jan Schlosser asked, what happened to Lexi Maxwell? I saw most of her books have been removed from Amazon, or at least the ebook versions. Tom Hinton says also the Max Power sitcoms.
Yeah, Lexi's undergoing a rebrand. How do you want to
describe that? She's a witness protection.
Yeah.
So we did stupid things earlier in the year.
No,
we did
many stupid.
Yeah,
things.
We have two what we would say we have lots of tiny mistakes this year, but we have two big mistakes, and one of those was trying to rebrand Lexi earlier in the year because we were trying so hard to make her all fancy and her original audience was people who wanted really dirty shit, right? And so,
Johnny.
Yes. Johnny was the ideal.
The dirtier, the better.
So, when she joined Sterling and Stone, and we tried to kind of clean up her image and do stuff that was a little more sophisticated, her audience wasn't into it. They just wanted more dirty shit. So that all made sense. It really does make sense to cater to your audience, right?
We were like that scene in The Doors where we were like, can you just change the lyrics here to be more socially acceptable?
Yeah, so that just didn't fly. And it really did make sense to say, okay, well, now we have this one name and we have this other name. Now, here's the really stupid mistake, and it's so obvious in retrospect. It's so obvious. But what we did is we said, okay, well, we're trying to make Lexi classy, and that's the name. So we're going to start a new pen name and take all her old dirty shit and put it under that name. Well, that's probably the worst idea.
At this point, I'd like to remind everybody that Lexi Maxwell is spelled Leximaxxwell before Sean continues with the thought process.
Right. So we started a different pen name for that, and it was just really, really dumb because what we should have done is
What
just
was the new
given
pen name, Sean?
Autumn Cole, which is just a normal.
A little less porny. Just
Right. Like, we could have made Autumn Cole the elevated name. But we basically tried to put lipstick on a pig, and it didn't really work.
And then they
No
used
offense, Lexi. She's still part of the company.
No, Lexi is
Chips
great.
McGillicuddy.
Right. Well, it's just, if you look at her catalog, it's very, very confusing.
Good luck looking at it now.
So she's got, 6 months ago, if you looked at her catalog, she's got, just straight erotica, really sex first, wham bam, thank you ma'am, quickies.
Call of Booty, modern horror.
Right.
Best title ever.
She's got that stuff. She's got like this paranormal erotica, a vampire one called Bitten, Triple X Files. She's got comedy like Fuck Him and adult video, Filthy Fairy Tales. She's got the Future of Sex, right, which is mine and Johnny's project, which is basically the.
You left me out of the mix. I co-wrote Bitten in the XXX Files.
So there's all this like crazy. It's just
we all had our fingers in her stuff.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Right. So it doesn't make sense. So we need to pull it all back and kind of reintroduce it. We need to pull out, and we need to we have new covers coming out, and her stuff all the porny stuff is Lexi's, and the other stuff will be niched out pen names, not porn names, pen names.
Can I just share Dave was right on this?
Dave was right.
It's shocking how more and more the company really is tending toward Dave was right. And Dave and I were.
You should just listen in the very beginning.
And I realize that we're spending, 15 minutes talking about things that we've done one question, so we should move on. But there was something Dave and I were slacking over. I don't even remember what it was. Where I was realizing that he was becoming more like me, and I was becoming more like him. We were doing this thing where we met in the middle. So there you go.
So the other half of that question is Max Power. Those are just because we're not going to be continuing those serials. We wrote those as episodes and seasons. So you're specifically referring to, I'm sure, because Space Shuttle's still up. So you're referring to Everybody Gets Divorced and Greens. And Everybody Gets Divorced, we're going to add a few more episodes and make that book longer and then close it out. And Greens,
and it's just a book then.
Yeah, and then Greens, we're gonna refashion the last episode a little bit and make that a single book too. They have great new covers that have been done by Donovan Shear. They're fantastic. They look really, really good.
Now, before Dave with his raised eyebrows there, we are continuing Space Shuttle.
Yes.
We aren't discontinuing all of them. We are continuing Space Shuttle. In part, mainly just to piss off Dave.
No, Space Shuttle Season 2 Electric Boogaloo will happen for sure. It's already outlined.
There is a God.
It's awesome. There's a Princess Leia, but you see the way it's
sued.
We're gonna
you can't. So anyway, and then a couple of the Lexi titles, like adult videos, a good example. Like that's so far away from erotica, it's no longer going to be a Lexi title. It will be refashioned as a Max Power title. So anyway.
Now, if I could have 15 seconds before we move to the next title, the reason that we just spent all that time talking about us, in addition to the fact that the question was asked about us, is because it points to the importance of delivering to the expectations of an audience. Lexi was all over the place. It didn't make sense with that audience, and the Max Power titles didn't. They just didn't make sense where they were, and you'll see more of this down the road. But that's why, is we're shuffling for reader expectations.
Yeah, next year you'll see all this stuff live. But we're not afraid to make mistakes and then pull back a little bit and recalibrate. And with Lexi and Max, we had to recalibrate. So we'll get that stuff live next year, and they look great.
Okay, from now on, all questions, you each get one shot. You don't get to go back and.
And guys, don't ask us about us. I mean, you ask about us, and it's all over.
Thomas Bennett says, "Why use an editor when you have 3 pairs of eyes that can look at a story? What does he concentrate on? Is it just have another set of eyes?" Well, first of all, we all don't read each other's stories.
Yeah, and that's not even.
Although that wedding scene in Unicorn Western is really well covered.
It doesn't matter because I think that you always have to have outside eyes look on your stuff. It's just better. But it's also consistency. It's not like our editor Jason he goes by the Chicago Manual of Style, and so our stuff is consistent with the CMS. And I don't know the Chicago Manual of Style.
And he also knows a lot of shit about a lot of shit. So like when we
Yes.
get something randomly wrong, like he catches it more often than not.
Yeah, like I really enjoy going through the edits. I mean, it's painstaking and you know it's a little tedious, but going through those edits, there's always some good takeaways, right? There's like, oh no, you don't use this word in this way because, or this word is actually of such and such an origin and would never be used in this context. And I appreciate that as somebody who loves language and wants to get constantly better at what I do. The paying for an edit is just part of the process, and I think that not doing it is not only shortchanging our reader, which I strongly feel it is. I also feel like it's shortchanging our own growth. I want to get better with every project, and a professional edit helps me to do that.
All right. Tom Hinton asks, have you had any experience with or opinions on giveaways to build a mailing list?
I could keep going, or somebody else could jump in because I don't want to monopolize. But
Well, I don't know what happened with the giveaways that we're doing. That's fallen off my radar, so I can't really weigh in.
You're back up to bat.
yeah, so we did have some going on. I don't know what the results were of those yet. I think they were long running, and they may still be running. But I think
they may still be running.
Yeah, I know in general, contests are they're hit and miss because you can get a lot of names on your list for sure by doing a contest, but you could also get a lot of misalignment on your list, and that's dangerous. If you have a lot of people on your list who don't really want to be there and are just there because you were giving away a $50 Amazon gift card, then your list is actually worse than it would be with just a few names because you have a lot of people who aren't opening your email, or they're marking you as spam, or they're just doing things that decay the value of that list. Because if nobody's opening your email, then your email service provider thinks that you suck and that people don't like you, and so your list will.
My mailman also thinks that of me.
That's why he bends your Rolling Stone.
It's Entertainment Weekly.
Oh, okay.
So you really want to make sure that any contest that you run is in direct alignment with the actual product that you're offering. If
you're doing children's books, do not give away sex toys. Lexi learned that the hard way.
Oh my God, what a hard lesson to learn.
That's a great example, guys. So
that didn't actually happen.
No,
just
all the wires
punching.
Yeah.
All right, you got more, Dave?
Yeah. Skipper Hammond asks, I'm still not clear how Story Shop will relate to Scrivener. I am able to do what Story Shop appears to do with character and setting inline links, annotations, and document links in Scrivener.
Okay, so this is one of the two big questions that I was saying we should wait till the end if they come up, but I don't mind answering this now at all. You, Johnny?
No, go ahead. And actually, there is a lot of confusion, so there you go. Get it out there.
Yeah, so basically, this will export to Scrivener, and there is so much that you can do in Story Shop that you can do in Scrivener right now. To be clear, we do all of this in Scrivener now. This is how we build our beats. This is what we do. But my point is, the point of the app is that it's a total pain in the ass, right? So it was like one of the analogies that Seth came up with that I really liked was, yeah, you could cut your toenails with a knife, but like, why would you want to if you have nail clippers? Right?
Well, I'm a real man, that's why.
Well, you can be a real man and use Scrivener for it. I prefer Story Shop. I prefer nail clippers, and we're building nail clippers. This is a way to seamlessly do all of this stuff. It's a way to more organically do it. Have those questions asked to you.
And if you look at the video, you'll see like how the stuff is organized, like how you can see like in the left and right panes. I mean, it's all right there for you. It's more easily presentable and readable and searchable. I mean, it's a different experience, and it's not meant to replace Scrivener. We use Scrivener for a lot of stuff. writing chiefly. But this is different, and also you can't collaborate with Scrivener.
Not that collaboration is by any means the main point of StoryShop, because we've gotten that question too. Not nearly as much as the Scrivener one and some others, but it's like the knife and toenail tool analogy is a good one, because we've also had people say things like, "Well, you can use free wikis for this." Yes, you can. You can
have fun with that.
Yeah, but it's a terrible idea. Right.
People say, why would I get Scrivener? I can write fine in Word, and Word isn't even a great example because it's not like Word's a free program. Word just sucks. But I can use TextEdit in my Mac. I can use Notepad. Yeah, you can do all of those things. It's just not centralized. It's not integrated. There's not a place for all of your stuff that keeps track. Like when something changes and you have to keep those things consistent yourselves, and there's not a good organizational structure. And
you're a writer. You want the best tools possible, and for the longest time we've been making do with Scrivener as this chief function. As we've been doing this with Scrivener. It's not the ideal way to do this though. So we got with somebody that designed something that is the ideal way we want to do this. Saves us time, and it's a lot more enjoyable to put the stuff together in the way that it's going to be going forward with this app. I'm assuming that it will be more enjoyable, just because I know what a pain in the ass it is right now.
Well, and a very small example is so the Dream Engine beats were, or not Dream Engine, but Nightmare Factory.
We almost do a little video thing, just comparing the Nightmare Factory beats.
Yeah, because those were exhaustive. Yeah. But each one of those, I had to go find the image and then drag it onto the desktop and then drag it into Scrivener. But you could just, with a click, you import that into your beats, and it's just a really fluid process. The process I use right now.
And Seth said that the motto might as well be connect all the things. Like you're dealing with loose items when you do it through any other system.
Yeah, Scrivener is primarily for writing, and it can do a lot of the pre-planning stuff for sure. But that's not what it's built for. And my favorite analogy here is actually, so recently I've started writing screenplays. And when I first did it, my first draft of my first screenplay, I did in Scrivener. Because why not? I'm very comfortable with Scrivener. I love Scrivener. I know it has it's Command 8 will turn it into screenwriting mode. And it does all of the basic screenwriting commands. But I got through the first draft, and I'm like, this sucks. Like, Scrivener is really awesome, and this is better than setting it up in Word and doing all those margins by hand. But I want a screenwriting app. I want an app that is built for that. And I did a quick Google search to see how other people were using Scrivener to write screenplays, and a lot of them were like, "Yeah, don't waste your time. Just get a screenwriting app." And you know who said that? Keith from Scrivener himself. He's like, "Yeah, it does it, but it doesn't do it like a screenwriting app, because that's not what it's built for." Scrivener is amazingly malleable, and it does a lot of things. But I just want the sharpest tool for each job, and I want a pre-production.
I'd like to make 2 points before we move away from this question. The first is that and I know we've said this, but I just want to make it super, super crystal clear. In no way are these competing things. It is not use StoryShop instead of Scrivener. It would be for us, it's use StoryShop for pre-planning instead of Scrivener, but we in no way, shape, or form is it like we're not going to use Scrivener. Oh my God!
I can't imagine writing anything other than Scrivener ever again.
Right. So, it's just.
I mean, I've even seen competing programs come out that are like trying to do what Scrivener is doing. I'm like, why would I bother with that? I already have a program I love, Scrivener.
Right. So the ideal workflow is for us is going to be pre-plan in this, and then either use it live or export and then use it and do the writing in Scrivener. So that's one thing. The second point I'd like to make is, we're only talking about 1.0 version. A lot of people have gone ahead and opted for the lifetime thing for StoryShop, and like to the point where the initial batch of early birds is almost gone, which is nice. But anybody who's doing that, like that's version 3, 4, 5 down the road, where Seth starts talking about when development will support it, we'll have infinite zoom on maps and timelines where you can go really minuscule. You can go out to the multiverse and the marketplace. That's where you can somebody can plan and maybe sell or trade with somebody who wants to be a first draft writer. All those things that are way down the road from this 1.0 iteration. At that point, it'd be really, really hard to look at Story Shop and say, well, Scrivener can do this, because it just won't. It's just not even close.
Right, and we're trying to architect this from the very beginning to just be the biggest, best thing out there. And again, to be clear, we're still always use Scrivener. Scrivener is a totally different tool that serves a totally different purpose. So let's move on, though.
All right. Ellie Laughlin asks, are you planning to pitch your screenplay scripts to Amazon Studios?
That would be a question again for Sean, I believe. But I don't know. I would probably. Well, why don't I just let you answer?
I don't have enough information to say yes or no. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, they got some good shows. I mean, I suppose it would depend, if the right opportunity.
Yeah, it just depends on the project. I wouldn't say yes any more than any other studio.
Yeah, I want a bidding war personally. I'm not pitching anybody. I want everybody to come to me.
At this point, it's a little bit, for me, it's a little bit cart before the horse. At this point, I just want to refine the craft. I want to get good at writing screenplays. I want Sterling and Stone to be good at production so that we have screenplays and we know that, okay, we can sell this one. Okay, this one we're going to put in the pile for us to make someday. And I think at that point, we get an agent and handle it appropriately and let our agent help to guide us, because I think in that space you go with somebody who knows more than you, and we don't know that much. I think right now our job is to get really good at the craft, and we're not very good yet. We're still figuring our way out here, and so I think we've got a ways to go before that's even an issue.
And we've had various offers, but we haven't really entertained them seriously because we are focusing on what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Ryan Whiteside asks, do you feel all good stories should end with the lead character growing into a different person than they were at the beginning? I'll answer this. Usually that is the point of a story. It doesn't always have to be, though. You can have a story, you can have a character remain exactly the same, but they do have to go through some shit. And however they end up, it should have some sort of impact. If they stay the same, then there should be some impact for them staying the same.
Or I would argue some impact for somebody else, or some impact on the world. Like, there has to be a purpose. Telling a story that's flat where nothing changes is like, why did you tell the story?
Or
what I was thinking with my autobiography.
If you have an anti-hero, but then that's kind of the point, right? Like, if you have somebody who doesn't learn, or like someone like The Godfather, right? That movie flipped it upside down, so that at the very, he starts out as innocent and sweet, and he tells Kay, I'm never going to be like my father. And then the very last scene is very chilling, where he's having his ring kissed and he's closing the door, and he's very much like his father. So that's like the opposite.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I think we're safe on that one. I think it's 44 years old now.
I've actually never seen it yet.
What?
Oh, it's good.
You've never seen The Godfather?
No, I have it though. I bought the.
I was even making reference in our latest story meeting to needing the Godfather Saga version of our timeline.
That's true. That's true. For Devil, he wanted the Godfather Saga. You should watch that, Dave. It's awesome. But yeah, to spoil that, there is a reverse hero's journey going on in there.
But it's still an arc. It's not staying the same.
Yes, right.
Speaking of timelines, Beth Farrar asks, what do you use for keeping the timelines of your stories in order? I don't think Scrivener has that function. Excel, you say? Not a fan. Any other suggestions? Pen and paper, chalk and cement? I digress.
There's a great app. I actually own it and have never used it. It's $50. It's called Aeon Timeline, and it exports to Scrivener. And from what I understand, it is the best timeline tool out there. It seemed slightly complicated, and I got overwhelmed and said, I don't have time for this. I'll figure it out later. And I was actually, that's funny. So Johnny just said that he had asked for the Godfather timeline saga for the Devil May Care narrative, which is a little confusing. And I wanted to use Aeon Timeline for that, but
Patrick Stemp weighed in and said he said he suggested Aeon Timeline also, and said very powerful tool. There is a definite learning curve to get the most out of it. Usually sells cheap during NaNoWriMo, I think, if you're over there. Somebody else, Megan Garrison, suggested she's currently using the Writers Cafe storyline tool to keep book character timeline straight. That's writerscafe.co.uk/features.htm if you're looking, or just look in the YouTube comments for this and you'll see it.
We're also, for later versions of Story Shop, looking to do timeline stuff. Later versions.
Yeah, okay. I gotta refresh these.
How refreshing. Should we move to the Google Doc, or I have a few voicemail questions?
We can. Let me do that. Okay, so
breaking comment. Amy Teagan says, "Dave, your hair looks great short."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, every time Dave gets a haircut, I think he gets annoyed by it, and we all say, "Well, that looks great."
You know what? I have two questions that I can combine as to one. It's just kind of basic business discussion here. So I'm going to read them both and then just answer it all as one. So, hey man, not sure if you're too busy to answer this, but I was wondering if you have a link to an article or a specific podcast number where you go into the nuts and bolts of how you organize Sterling and Stone, taxes, contracts, etc. I know you guys said you didn't sign any contracts, but do you use one person's KDP account? Do you have a special one with Amazon, Apple, etc.? Did you go LLC? Do you use LegalZoom?
Simple question.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck am I doing here?
I'm going to be collaborating with an author friend, and I'd like to be able to have the business pay him and pay me the royalties and handle the taxes separately. I've done some Googling, but it's all very basic stuff or from sources I don't necessarily trust. Sorry to write you this book. And then we have another question that's, what does Sterling and Stone serve versus your various imprints, Collective Inkwell, Rum and Sands, etc.? Are they set up as separate businesses? What did you have to do legally or otherwise to establish them? So these are just basic.
You guys for a consulting fee before we go into this.
Yeah, so just to be clear, we're not lawyers, right? And this is what we do is not advice at all. But you're asking what we did, and we can articulate that. So each of the businesses, it used to be Collective.
Wake me up when you're done.
Yeah. Collective Inkwell was a business, and then Sterling and Stone was a business that housed everything else. Collective Inkwell is now collapsing, and it's under Sterling and Stone. So Sterling and Stone is the umbrella company. Everything else is just a division. And we have been on handshakes forever. Now we have an official controller, a money guy who is making sure that we do everything right, who has joined the company. And that's Archer, and he's forming an LLC and doing it all professionally. Well,
there is an LLC. He's forming a different one.
Yeah, this is a different one because we're doing it right now. It's been a few years, and this was kind of Frankenstein because originally it was a company, and it was started with a couple other people, and it's changed over time, and now it is what it was always meant to be. But we have to get that in on paper. As far as dashboards, we have many dashboards. That's a nightmare. I do not recommend it. I recommend having one dashboard or as few dashboards as you possibly can for everything. As far as your taxes, I'm not really sure about the question about paying them royalties and taking taxes separately. I'm not the right person to ask that. That is a tax question, not an organization question. But I think that the cleaner you can make it, the better. We're a little messy because we have so many dashboards. It would be way better if we could consolidate, and unfortunately we can't. Anyway, but yes, they're all different imprints, and we do have an LLC. We're changing that LLC slightly to reflect the changes in the company in the new year, and fewer dashboards is better.
Jim Wilborn says, I'm so proud of Dave. I've been listening to the Walking Day podcast, and I find it really good for me. It's honest, and Dave inspires me to be better. Thank you.
Dave inspires me better. I'd just like to also...
Nobody in the history of ever has ever said that. Jim, you are winning a prize.
I'd also like to point out how disappointed I am that you did not get my text. I just wanted to see if you wanted to have a sideline conversation while Sean was going on and on about business bullshit. But
no, I don't have my
I tried to be nice and efficient with that. It was a hard question.
He's in his element now.
Gregory Lynn says, can I borrow $300? There's this Kickstarter thing I want to back. Mary Isla asks, what do you do when and if you lose interest in a story at some point? I lose interest.
Dave's the right one to ask about this. This is Dave's question.
You stop writing it, and you tell your partner, hey, we're not doing that story right now. It's
Or you
really
take
late.
6 months.
Or you take 6 months
If it's not interesting, you should probably add a dog.
and then kill it.
Yeah, I've had that happen before where I'm just not as excited about it, but really I plow through, like whatever, like just get it done. But I do think that excitement is really important, and if you're not really into what you're writing, you may want to question why that is, because if it's a deeper problem, then you may face it with your next project too. It may just be that like Dave's a little like this. He always wants to write what he's not writing, right?
Yes.
So
I always want to be wherever I'm not.
Yeah,
Doing
so it's
whatever
not
I'm
even about the specific project. He could be working on something that he really wanted to do, but once he's knee deep in it, he wants to do something else, and it's not really about the other project, it's about him. So I think you need to explore what it is about the project that's kind of rubbing you the wrong way, and if it's something you genuinely don't want to do, then don't. There's so many ideas out there. But if it's something where you're deep enough into it and you've invested the time and you can really self-reflect and think, well, this is why I'm not into it, then maybe you just need to recalibrate and revisit.
Yeah, if you hate it, just put it aside and come back to it and see if you still hate it. Work on something else in the meanwhile.
Yeah, but work on something that excites you. Life's short. Don't work on stuff you hate.
Jim Wilborn says, I realize that my website needs to be 2 separate sites, one for my fiction, one for my nonfiction articles, books, etc. What's a good way to approach separation? What should I watch out for?
Wow, I so don't know how to answer that.
Yeah,
I don't know that you need to. It really depends on how different.
Well, yeah, it depends on what your nonfiction niche is. If you're talking about, fly fishing and then you're writing erotica, like there's no intersection.
Hey, fly
I don't
fishing
know about
erotica.
that.
Oh, all right. Hold on. We got to call Lexi.
But I think that if there are intersections, maybe you could do
if
it.
any sport could use erotica, it would be fly fishing. I mean, those people stand out there for hours with nothing going on.
I think the hard part is if you are a writer trying to write for other writers. If that's what you're doing with nonfiction, then I would actually suggest not even having the nonfiction side. So it depends on what your nonfiction is for sure. But if you are, I would just make it a soft sell. So maybe in the sidebar of your nonfiction blog, you let people know that you do write fiction and have a link to your blog, and on your fiction blog in the sidebar, let people know that you do write nonfiction and what that niche is, and have a link to the blog. But it really depends on how related the two fields are.
Mary Isla asks, why do Johnny and Dave have interesting things in the background and Sean has a boring blank wall?
Because I'm in a boring apartment. Yeah, I'm in my bedroom in a boring apartment. I'll rock it in 2016, guys. Just be patient.
I wonder if my friend who painted it in 1994, which was the year I graduated from high school, and I just wanted something, and I just wonder if he realizes how famous this just random. I think I paid him because I insisted on paying him. I didn't, I said I'm commissioning you, so I think I paid him $50, and there you go, and it's been in the background forever.
That's hilarious.
And these were not commissions; these were separate.
Kevin Lute says, hey, I want to let Dave know that I love the Walking Dave podcast. You come across as quite genuine, and I look forward to hearing more. Thank you. I have 2 questions, he says. From an IRS standpoint, is there a difference between having a company like you guys do or just being a single author without a company? Do you ever see a point in your company where you regularly take other authors and publish them under your imprint? Thanks for all you guys do. You're all a real inspiration.
Well, I feel the need to repeat that we aren't lawyers or tax accountants again.
Well, I think I don't know about if you're doing it solo. I don't know how much it matters whether you're doing it yourself or if you have a company. I think the company is a lot of times there is a legal protection in case you get sued. The company is sued, not you, generally speaking.
Right.
Yeah, it's a barrier. It's a barrier between you and.
But it also depends entirely on the structure of the company. The way that I don't know if this is an Ohio thing. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I know that originally Sterling and Stone was structured as an LLC, as a one-member LLC, and when you have a one-member LLC, the IRS disregards it. They actually call it a disregarded entity. At least Ohio, I don't know if that's federal. And so basically, all the money that the company made, the IRS treated it as if Sean personally was making it, which
And he got
which spoiler alert, fucked Sean hard. So the way it is now is the company earns money. I'm sorry, the way it will be soon is the way that the company earns money, and then I don't know if we're literally employees of the company right now, but or we at least get dispersions, and so we're
it's
separated from
dispersions.
the company in that way
The
too.
company actually now has no employees, but that will change over time. But it's all just it's evolutionary. I think you just have to consult with someone you trust.
Yeah,
because,
talk to an accountant of some sort.
Your situation is going to be different than ours for sure.
And the second part of the question: will we ever take other authors and publish them under the imprint? I think Sean would like to at some point.
Yeah, but that's
not to ever.
Yeah,
way down the road.
So down the road, right?
Yeah, way down the road. But I think that we've talked about that, like kind of the James Patterson model, but down the road.
It makes sense. It just we have to our shit's not even together yet, right? We're still figuring out.
Right.
So until we're all, every imprint is actually firing on all cylinders. Yeah, we like that idea a lot, but it's so far away. It's not worth talking about yet.
Eddie Jakes says, I just got my first book up. Finally, it's doing pretty decent considering the lame marketing I've done. I'm holding back on serious marketing till I get more books done. I was just curious to what you think about the idea of keeping exclusive free products strictly on my website to build a list versus putting free product on Amazon. Ideally, I would like to only put free on Amazon when it's a sale.
Well, I don't think
you can do both, I think.
Yeah, your website is never going to have the traffic that Amazon does. So if you're looking for discovery, if you're looking for fresh eyes, which to my mind is the best reason to use free other than getting people on your list, I think you're missing out on that because websites are hard to find.
Well, he could be talking about building a mailing list and having
a
something
list
free
specific.
to give away.
That's what I was thinking.
Well,
and that's very useful.
That is very useful. But if you just want if you don't have a lot of stuff out there and you just want to get, traffic, then it's really two-tiered. You want to have something that gets you the traffic, which could be a free book on Amazon, and then a freebie giveaway, and those are two different things. So, our example would be the Invasion and Contact, right? So Invasion's not free though. But
no, I think Yesterday's Gone has this model, doesn't it?
So Yesterday's Gone Season 1 is free. Yesterday's Gone Season 2 is free if you opt into the list. But again, you have to have more books to make that work. But I do think that that's I think that works.
Xavier Granville's in the house. Says, I've been pre-planning using an abacus. I'm old school. He also says, any hints on when the world will get White Space 3? The world will get it as soon as we write it, which will hopefully be early next year. Hold on.
White space question, that's not for me. It's one for one of you guys.
Jim Wilburn has another question. How to avoid confusion if my series...
Wait. Are you not answering the white space question?
I said early next year.
Oh, I
don't have a better answer than that.
You know what's funny? Let me jump in. So I was just listening to the Authorpreneur's Almanac. The latest one a couple of days ago, and in it I'm saying we were just finishing Yesterday's Gone, and I was talking about how we were just going into White Space 3. It was going to be awesome. And
I wasn't ready.
And yeah, Dave aborted. Mission abort. But it was pretty funny because I don't even remember. I must have recorded this right before we aborted, and I was so.
Your Authorpreneur's Almanacs are funny that way because you clearly recorded them ahead, and I've been listening to everything, and there have been a bunch where I've gone, ooh, like I've kind of made that flinch face where I'm like, ooh, no.
That's changed, right. I've had the same reaction. It's pretty funny.
You should just call them Sean's Optimistic Daydream Corner. Jim's question, how do I avoid confusion if my series includes satellite novels, novellas, and short stories that aren't necessary to follow the main storyline? Think Star Wars Extended Universe. I want multiple points of entry in a story world with a few hundred years of history, but I don't want readers to be confused and lost. I would suggest in the front of the book or something, like having a list of like necessary stories that are canon, stories that are not. Maybe even somewhere in the product description. Just, you know what I don't like when I see a lot of like series books, especially like crime thriller series, is, you know, they don't have numbers and they're written like Dennis Lehane series. You don't know what order they're in unless you know.
Oh, good example.
Find out.
If only you
And
could find that author on Facebook and ask them what order the series was in.
To the
I hear
author.
that's a good way to get a response.
yeah, there was an author that got pissed when somebody asked them that. It is a fan service though, and it's one that really helps people when they're thinking about starting your series to know what order that series should be read in, or if not in any order, then that should also be known. And I think you should put that in the product description of each of these books somewhere in there. And I think, you know, if there is a specific order or something, maybe in your front page or something, or a note that says go to the back if you don't want to like clutter up the front matter. Just a note that links to the back. It says, hey, go here. And definitely on your website, I think you want to make it as clear as possible and easy as possible for someone to enter your series, know where to start, and know where to go next.
Agreed.
And you can also do that at the end of your story too. Like especially if you have like sequential, you know, series books, get the next book in the series, number whatever or whatever the title is. Help your readers out that way. Okay. You guys have another question? I'm looking. I gotta read.
Yeah, I can grab one.
They disappeared.
Actually, do you want to do a voicemail, Johnny?
Yeah. All right.
Sure, let's play a voicemail. All right, so and these have been apologies to everybody because these have been like ages ago. I just got out of the habit of using the iPad, so these people have forgotten about us and condemned us to society. There we go.
Hey guys, it's Jim Wilborn. I love the show.
Jim, there you go.
Hey, Jim.
Jim Wilborn show.
Quite the delight. I have a question about writing fiction. I recently started building a novel and came up with a really cool magic system that I thought was very unique and had not been done often enough, if ever. And then I found a book published in the last 3 years that pretty much did that idea. So I
Sound
doubt
familiar,
they
Dave?
executed it.
That's Dave's worst nightmare right there.
This book actually does very well in the market, and you guys may have read it. This makes me extremely apprehensive to move forward with this particular idea. So my question is it okay to just do my idea? If I do, am I setting myself up for a stupid amount of recoil? And to follow up, if it is okay to do my idea, should I read the book first, or should I try not to let it influence me at all? I can imagine a scenario where someone claims I ripped off the previous work and when I really didn't even realize it existed.
This is a plant question, right? Because I feel like this is custom tailored. I need more
Before you
information.
answer and
but
say the
yeah,
wrong
okay,
thing.
Okay.
Before you answer, I know you guys will say, oh, you should just go ahead and do it anyway. And I want to say, specifically in the realm of fantasy books, the magic system is pretty. I don't know the right word. It's something a lot of people pay attention to. And if you did something similar, you might get a lot of blowback from fantasy fans. I think this question would be best for Carl Sinclair. Ask him on Facebook because he is a huge fantasy fan and he's all about the
Do you think
magic
there's any
systems.
chance that Carl's going to give an encouraging answer?
He might.
Why don't you just
might.
punch yourself in the face? I mean, 'cause
I think Carl might. I don't know. Carl gives, good advice. So, yeah.
Carl
Okay,
doesn't know this stuff.
I will just say, well, actually, go ahead, Johnny.
Well, what I was going to say is I wasn't going to give the answer that I think Dave was anticipating. I think I was going to give a couched version of that, which is that I think it depends. I would almost need to hear the example because I don't know why, but this is the first thing that popped into my head. Has anybody read The Langoliers, Stephen King's novella?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a very specific way that King conceptualizes time in that. This is a little bit of a spoiler, so if you haven't read that and you want to, it's only like 15 years old now. But basically, they move forward through time, and then the left behind moments are still there in worlds, but they're like abandoned. And that's very, very specific.
That's really cool.
And if you wrote a book where that happened, then you'd look like a douchebag because it's so specific. And you'd be like, well, no, this is my idea for how time works. And you'd look like an asshole. And so I think it just depends how specific that is versus it's just like, like look at for time travel. Look at Back to the Future. Oh, well, in my system, if you go back in time, it changes things. Like that's not the same, So it just depends.
Yeah, I think
I want to use like a Corvette Stingray instead of a DeLorean. Would that be like?
And it goes 86 miles an hour. And it has something called the flexi capacitor.
Yeah, the Lexi capacitor.
I think you have to be careful for sure. And this is a fine line because my advice would actually be to not read the other books. Like if it was me, I wouldn't want to read the other books. Because that's an idea, and I don't think that ideas are sacred. I think it's about what you do with the idea, and I think that reading it would actually be the wrong thing because then you'd be too close to the material. I think that it basically, if the idea is the same, and there's no way you're going to articulate it in the same way. You're a very different person than whoever this author is, and so your story is going to be different and all of that. So that would be my take on it, but I also know that fantasy is not my first genre. I know there are a lot of rules there. It's like we've recently learned, romance is very, very, very specific, and you cannot step out of those rules. So
yeah, you can't have the heroine or the hero die at the end, getting eaten apart by jackals. I never realized that.
It's unforgiving.
Do you... Go ahead.
We got more questions.
Oh, go ahead, because I do have 2 more voicemails, but I can just wait until they're...
Yeah, wait till I refresh again. Tammy Lebrecht says, I would totally subscribe to Sean's optimistic dream corner.
Thank you, Tammy.
Mary Isla Rainbow.
Mary Isla says, I think Dave may be the son I gave up for adoption many years ago. I'm trying to think, what's that line? Never mind. From I think Phoebe Cates. What the hell was that? Which one of you bitches is my mother or something? I don't remember. Anyway,
that's a terrible story.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Moving along.
I just had a flashback. Okay, Xavier Granville says, if some rich Hollywood type approached you to write the script for the Care Bears 3D Countdown to Vegas, what would the price point be on you saying yes? First of all, I hate the word price point.
So Dave's out already.
Yeah, I don't think. Okay. Well,
I would just like to point out,
and then I'll end.
Sean is the one who is on record on previous podcasts saying he's a straight guy. He'd blow a dude for $2 million. So I'm just saying, like, there's our, like Care Bears movie is really a step in the right direction.
All right. So I wouldn't take that price. If there was a certain way I had to write the movie, I wouldn't do it for any amount of money. Because blowing a dude, let's be real, that's like a few minutes, and then I'm done.
Love that you think that's more acceptable.
Wait, Sean has it down to a few minutes, so you know your skill level in this area.
I'm assuming, like, how long is it going to take?
I don't know. I'm assuming if you don't like it, it would probably take a long time.
For $2 million, I think
he seems really eager to do it.
Right?
For $2 million?
No, crossing my sexuality boundaries to new unexplored frontiers. No problem.
$2 million?
For $2 million to write the Care Bear movie.
I would do it too at $2 million.
You'd blow it.
But I wouldn't be so bold as to say I would do it in a few minutes. I would at least block 2 hours out of my day for that.
No, fuck it, dude. $2 million, I'd use a lot of tongue, no teeth. Like, it'd be great.
Wow, I sense that we should move on. What do you think?
No, I'm answering the Care Bears question.
I want the answer to
the
Care Bears.
But the Care Bears, I'd love that this isn't even a serious question, and it's getting a lot of devoted time. But the Care Bears movie would take like months. Like
it would take like a weekend.
No. Okay, so here's my serious answer for the Care Bear movie. If it was really prescriptive and it had to be like this is exactly how the movie had to be, I wouldn't do it. But if it was like, here's the premise, you guys interpret it however you want, we trust you, holy shit, I would do that.
That would never happen in a million years.
That'd be awesome.
No, but I do like that.
What would your price
we
be?
can make
Okay,
that
if we could write however we wanted, assuming that it didn't have like strap-ons and stuff, what would your price
I don't know,
point
like
be?
$50.
Yeah, I think
$50?
I think I'd do it for free if they had the backing behind it. I'm allowed to do it
Yeah,
how I want.
We're actually able to write the movie and it's gonna go into theaters. I would do that shit for free as long as we had
This
total
is
creative
what
control.
we
hear
do,
that,
and-
Care Bear, folks?
Yes.
So yeah, so it would either be like they
This is-
couldn't
Dave,
afford it.
this is what Sean and I do every week. Like, this is not unusual.
Care Bear fanfic?
I would I would do that. I would do it like they couldn't afford. There's no amount I would do it for if I didn't actually want to do it. But if I could do whatever I wanted with the Care Bears movie, yeah, totally, I'd do it.
You would kill them all, wouldn't you?
It would be amazing. No, I wouldn't. I would.
Oh.
I would play it up. You know, it's a little like that. Remember the Abraham Lincoln Mars fucker? What was it
It
called?
was Abraham Lincoln, Fuck Lord of the Moon.
Okay,
Which
so
may be my favorite title ever.
right. So that's pretty hot. And we were like these like there
Care
were-
Bears made you think of that.
Yeah, well, here's the analogy. Or here's the connection. So those books, there's a few of them like that are just doing really well at making money, and I think it's pretty hilarious. But if we were to write that, I don't think that we can make money with it because we would treat it as a joke. Like, it would be funny to us.
You would treat Abraham Lincoln, Lord of the
Are
Mars
you
fuck or
saying
whatever,
that
as he
Abraham
art that it is.
Lincoln? Are you saying that Abraham Lincoln, Fuck Lord of the Moon, is not in any way tongue in cheek? Are you saying that that's somebody wrote that with a straight face?
No, that's art. I think James
No.
Nguyen did that.
I think the people who read that are like, they're getting something legit from it. It's not written as comedy. Where we wrote that, we would approach it from a comedic vantage.
Well, to be fair, I would.
It has a
Care Bears.
4.5 star average on Goodreads.
On
Goodreads.
Goodreads?
Wow.
On Goodreads.
So just to be fair, better than Access of
That's
Aaron.
And guys, just in case you're wondering, we had that question
Better than Gone with the
earlier
Wind.
about series. We had that question about series order. This is actually Presidential Fuck Machine Book 3.
Oh,
So-
hey, don't start with this one. Start with, what is it, George Washington?
George Washington,
Legion?
professional fister.
Well, there's Abraham Lincoln Ninja Fuckmaster. Hold on, I'm looking at it right now.
This is the
Hold
best
on,
episode
hold on,
ever.
this is-
This Ask Us Anything has gone off the rails.
I
All right,
like this. More
Okay.
questions like this.
Let me finish this, and then we can get back on topic. Book
No
2.
serious questions.
Book 2 is Abraham Lincoln Ninja Fuckmaster, and Book 1 is this is before they got cool, and it was Abraham Lincoln Presidential Fuck Machine.
Yeah, that one has the weakest cover too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's just they really found their stride, much like any good fiction. Any good fiction, any good series, it finds its rhythm after a few. Like Joey was all Italian at the beginning and cooking sauce and Friends, and then he became the Joey we know.
See, I would do a Care Bears movie, but it would have to be like just really depressing. Maybe something to do with the Holocaust or something. I don't know. Just a really touching Care Bears movie.
You
that had to
should
been
you
made.
should actually write a script called Apathy Bears.
We don't Care Bears.
Like they go to war with the Care Bears. Like, it could be like a serious epic shit.
We
All
don't
right.
Care Bears. We got to trademark that right now.
All right, what other questions do you have?
Hold on. Tammy Lebrecht says, I'm a mildly similar vein to Jim. I'm about to genre hop. You guys always said that writing cross genre is something you do, but not something you recommend. Advice for someone about to do it: get a pen name. Any thoughts are welcome.
Yeah, I probably would. If your aim is to, it just depends. Like, this is so important to know your why, know your goals. For us, our goals are to be known as storytellers, and we're willing to take a very long time to build that reputation, and go slowly. So if you're Reagansaurus, yeah. So if your goal is to make more immediate money, then I think a pen name is definitely a smarter approach. But if you kind of want global credit for all of that, then that's different. Now, having said that, I think romance is a very specific genre, children-specific genre, and those are areas where I would use a pen name regardless.
And children's romance also a very specific genre.
Yes, very, very
See,
specific.
Care Bears.
And
2 years ago.
illegal, I think.
Quotidian Light says, oh no. First she says, I would pay for video. That is of Sean filleting somebody. Then she says, and
thank you, Maya.
And it takes longer than 2 minutes if you're a newbie. Porn lies. Mary Isla says,
but those people aren't getting $2 million. Like I'm telling you, I would be an enthusiastic.
Suck it like you're rich.
Yeah.
He's so eager.
$2 million.
Listen to how eager he is to do this.
I think something's wrong with you that
He
you
did
wouldn't
sell flowers.
That's nothing to do with it. I wouldn't blow a dude for free.
I don't know. I'm getting the
$2 million?
connection now.
Hey, not that there's anything wrong with it.
No.
No. Feel free. You whore. $2 million whore. Mary Isla says, only you guys can discuss Care Bears and blowjobs in the same conversation and sound reasonable.
Hey, this podcast is new and noteworthy.
Hey, what do you guys think about Blowy Bear?
Is this the next Lexi line?
Yeah, he has big giant lips.
We got a viewer mail.
Oh, you want another voicemail? Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to find another question.
I have a question in the meantime. And I think this is a really good one. So over the last year, the big thing I've heard about is building the email list. While I think it's a great tool, what about list fatigue of readers? Valid concern or worrying for nothing?
Valid concern.
Yeah.
But I think that it depends, because it's definitely a valid concern, but it's just a concern. It's not like you can say specifically what threshold that is. There are people who mail every day, and that's what their people expect. Like if you had a daily stock tip newsletter, yeah, that needs to go every day, and that would not be list fatigue. That's what they expect. But that you want to be cognizant of becoming the noise instead of the signal, and you want to be cognizant of the fact that expectations that you set, if you then break them and are pounding people too much, then that can get fatiguing. One of the ways we try to minimize list fatigue, and I don't know how successful we are, it seems successful for the people who stay with us, i.e. our true fans, is we just try and make emails amusing. Like if we're going to pound you several days, like a long period of time with a bunch of emails, we're going to go out of our way to try and make them amusing and personable emails. And the feedback that we get from, I mean, of course some people leave, but the feedback that we get from people who don't is that they genuinely enjoy the emails, even if they don't do whatever it is that we're sending them for. So it's like, I'm not going to act anyway, but I'm not pissed off. I'm not going to leave, so it's fine.
Yeah, you will shed dead skin, and that's okay. Like that's just part of it. Our unsubscribes come every Thursday. That's when our email goes out, and we always get unsubscribes on Thursday, and it's fine. That's normal. Not everybody wants email. Not everybody's going to bond with your messaging. There are two really important things with email: consistency and quality. And you have to make sure that you are consistently emailing, because otherwise people forget about you, and they don't open your emails, and then your list is worthless. And quality. You have to make sure that when you are emailing, you have something great to say, and you say, well, you don't ever waste their time. And that's not a throwaway point that Johnny just made, that we make our readers laugh. That's really important. They're like laughter is great. If you train somebody that when they open your email, they're going to smile, people want to smile. They want to feel good. If you train your reader that they're going to click on a link and enjoy something because you have a very good curator's eye for funny things on YouTube or tragic things on YouTube, if you're Dave, there are reasons that they'll want to bond with you. Now, this is a quick story, but I think it's very relevant to this. So Garrett has joined Sterling and Stone with Legendary, which is a fantasy imprint in his Nightblade series, and he's sending an email to his list tomorrow, and he sent it to me yesterday and said, "Can you please look over this?" And there were some changes that I made, but it was a great email. It was really, really good. And beyond that, what's up, Chuckles?
I just saw the link that Johnny put in.
There's 3 in there. Make sure you have them all.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And so it just ticked all the boxes. Like it was very warm. It was very vulnerable. He tells a story. It's very personable. It's going to bond with his ideal reader for sure. It has open loops that make them, anticipate the next email to open. But beyond that single email, Garrett has the next 17 emails he wants to send, like each with a sentence already. Like this is the sequence. And that's a really great thing because he's telling a story over those 17 emails. And if he does write those all, like he's very planned out. He knows what releases he's going to have. He knows what he wants to say. He wants to know the order that he's going to say it. And sending an email like that every week does a lot of work for you. Like it primes your reader. It bonds with your reader. It tells them a story. It gives them open loops. It does all the work for you. So yes, list fatigue is a very genuine concern, but the way to fight that is to be better than everybody else.
I've been watching Dave's reactions over there.
You all have to go find Ravished by Reagansaurus. This looks like the best book ever. I got to ask, though, how can that cover be legal?
Oh, I'm sure it's not. I love that you're assuming it is.
Wow. Okay. I
so you liked that more than President Trump's gay hairpiece in The Revenge of the Were Water Buffalo? Did you not see that one?
No, that one is just, that's par for the course. The Reagansaurus one is just.
The Reagansaurus one is pretty great, but what I like best about Pounded by Pluto is the subtitle, the crappiest planet. Pluto on top of everything else.
I thought Uranus was the crappiest planet.
Oh, there you go. All right, so do we have more YouTube comments, or should I play a
Tammy
voicemail?
Lebrecht says $2 million is so much money, you guys. Oh, I said I would do it for $2 million. I think Johnny.
Yeah, it's Johnny. Johnny's the only one who won't blow a dude for $2 million.
The only homophobe. Actually, my wife probably wouldn't let me do it. To be fair.
Yeah, we don't want to have this discussion again, do we?
I think
it is ask us anything.
Cindy's the only woman who will let her man blow another dude.
Well, she's practical. If I'm like, honey, it's $2 million. Like we buy the house in cash. Like
as if this is the craziest proposition business-wise.
Right, I've had
Sean
crazier
ideas.
That's right, and this is guaranteed. There's no risk here.
Okay, here's a second part.
There's risk.
Wait. Let's add some spice to this hypothetical, if you will. What if?
So, sorry, are there more real questions, or is this the one we're going down the rabbit hole on?
Hey, you're getting nighttime-y, all right?
All right?
Okay, let's say the only way you can collect the money is if this is videotaped and put on one of those porn sites, and there's forever evidence of this.
No, that changes it. That changes it, yeah.
So then, what's your price?
Then I wouldn't whatever.
At all?
No, because
what if you could wear a Ronald Reagan mask?
Because then it's bizarre.
Well, one is just a sex act, but the other is
your kids might see it someday, and that's just different. Awful.
One is I have a dick. I happen to like my dick. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with a dick.
On the record, I'm trying to steer it back. So everybody's pissed at this. I'm trying to steer it back.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's get back.
I think we're setting precedent with ask us anything. It's not the same SVP, man.
What else do we have? Dave?
Voicemail.
Voicemail.
Okay.
Hey, Sean, Johnny, and Dave.
Wait, pause it.
Tyler, a couple questions.
Yes.
I just want to say how funny will it be if he asks a blowjob question?
Oh, wow, Dave's giddy.
Nighttime, Dave. All right, continue on.
He paused us for that.
First of all, I was wondering if you could touch back on the differences between Aweber and MailChimp. I know I heard you talk about it a long time back, but I was wondering if you could just give us a refresher on that. And then a second question regarding your email list. For somebody that's just starting out and only has one book out and not really sure when the next book will come out, building that list, what do you do? It's hard to think about getting a bunch of people on that list just to have them sit around for 6 months for your next book. So if we don't have prolific amount of work to be pitching them, what can we do to keep that list active? Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay, you used the wrong word, dude. You don't want to have a list and start pitching people. Like that's not the point. The point. Oh, Dave disappeared. The point there is to bond with them. Be interesting. Like that's what you need to do with your list. Be interesting. You don't pitch them. Give more than you take for sure. By far, the difference between Aweber and Mailchimp. It really comes down to a matter of preference. I know, like Mailchimp gives you 2,000 for free before they start charging. I think Aweber's a little more pro, but I know plenty of pro people who use Mailchimp too. Nick Stevenson uses Mailchimp, and he's very good at email marketing. So I don't think there is a right answer there. Personally, I prefer Aweber, but it may just be because I've used Aweber forever at this point.
As far as the list bribe thing, I know that usually the answer that we've given about this in the past is to write something, write something else, to write a short story or something to do with a character. Or somebody said like an interview with a character, something that those people might be interested in as an extra cookie. If they just finished your book and they might be interested in I don't know, DVD extras because you wrote a development diary when you wrote it or something. But I think that you can, if you literally have nothing, I don't think it's a crime to start with join my list to know when the next release is. I don't think it's going to be very effective, and it's not very interesting to the people necessarily, but I think you can do it. And I think that as soon as you have something else, then you need to start aggressively building that list. But I think it's the same as would you, these guys made the decision to wait until they had a few books before they started marketing any of them. And I know that that's hard advice to hear, is write more stuff and wait, but it doesn't change the fact that it may be right. So if you don't have anything right now, I think you can just do a simple sign up, but then get something fast, and it may just take you a while to have a really effective list offer.
MGon is in the house. He's back to the topic that we're trying to avoid, saying so much money, Story Shop would be totally funded. Heh. Yeah, I don't think Sean's going to use the money for an app if he does that. I think that's got to go straight to his personal bank account. Right?
What? Yes.
Always self.
Yeah. I'm actually going to buy a BMW. The $80,000, that just happens to be the price of a BMW that I've been really eyeing.
No, I'm talking about for the flow.
I don't think that's what you're talking about. But
the $2
again,
million.
let's
all right.
move away
Question.
from that topic.
Christian Mate asks, is Dave sitting while Johnny's standing? Yes, I am sitting because I kept having to move the iMac up and down with that wobbly ass thing I have, and it was just a huge pain in the ass, and I almost dropped it again. So I just am leaving it sitting so I do not drop my iMac until I get a proper standing desk.
Do you want to see my solution? Do you want to do an Ask Us Anything extra?
What's yours?
And
you turn your
all right,
screen
so no. So here's the that is correct. I am standing today, and the reason that the reason that I didn't I had a standing desk before, but then I had to, I could take my laptop. I use my laptop in clamshell mode for most of the time, and then I'd have to just unplug it and take it over the standing desk and use it. And I stopped doing it because it was a pain in the ass. I don't like using my laptop as a laptop. I want my screen, and if I'm podcasting, then the camera needs to be up that high. And so basically I needed a standing desk situation where the whole damn thing lifts up. So what I did is I said, if I could just stack some shit on my desk and just move everything up in a real quick motion. Okay, so here, now that I've given you the answer, here, okay, so this is Ghetto exclusive here, folks. So this is, I don't know that my camera cord's going to be long enough.
Watch the
you see, these are
fall.
banker's boxes. So this is literally like the kind of things that you store files in, and I just duct taped them together, and just my monitor is literally I just picked it up and just set it on top of it. And that's what I did.
You have a regular monitor, though. You don't have, an iMac, right?
It's correct. It's a regular monitor. So this wouldn't work for you because those things are heavy, but this monitor is
heavy as hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but what I want is an actual desk that lifts up. But since this thing's light, I literally put the monitor back. I set my keyboard aside. I stick this thing on my desk, and I put the monitor on top and my keyboard on top of one of them. And it works. And I sit down in the morning, and then I stand up when I'm done with my fiction.
Okay. Jim Wilborn asks, what do you guys think of the new Star Wars trailer?
I think it looks fantastic. Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think JJ totally nailed the vibe. I love that it doesn't look all glossy and digital. It looks like there's real weight to the aesthetic, which I like a lot. What do you think, Dave? I know you've seen it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the movie. The only thing I'm trying to determine is if I haven't watched the first one in so long, and by the first one I mean the one that came out in '77, not the real, the first one they made.
Not the one that everybody's ashamed of.
Number 4. Yeah. Like if my son's ready to see that yet, I don't remember how much violence is in that or if there's cursing or anything. I'd really like him because I saw it when I was 7.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
no, that's
okay.
That's
so
safe.
What would be really cool? Okay, so here's my what I think would be cool and my concern. So I get them to watch the first 3 movies and get them all psyched for this new one, and then the new one comes out and you find out there's like PG-13 for frequent references to things I don't want them to really know about yet, and then I'll be like, oh, I can't see it with them, and I'll be upset. So.
No, it's.
Well, you saw the wet strap-on scene in Sense8, right? I mean, it's no worse than that.
He didn't see that. I don't care what I watch. It's him.
You saw Diary of a Teenage Girl, right?
No,
Like
that was Sean's daughter. Yeah, I saw it with her. I took her to the movies.
For the record, no.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Do we have more questions? I have more on this list.
Go ahead.
I got 10 minutes. Then the clock's ticking.
All right. So how do I pick a cover? I use 99 Designs and have at least 30 strong contenders. What do I do? What do I look for when choosing?
Wait, what do you use?
99 Designs.
Where would I find that company?
Wait, are you serious? We have a 99 Designs question?
Yeah, we really do.
I was busy reading other questions. Go ahead.
No, I think, yeah, because it can be kind of overwhelming when you have all those choices, and it's really easy to make the wrong choice. And the wrong choice may really feel like the right choice because you're picking the most aesthetic, choice. Like, okay, this one looks the most pleasing to my eye. But that's not really how you want to choose a book cover. And our non-mistake covers, actually, it didn't come from 99 Designs, but I think this is a good example because I actually really like the cover that Dave made for non-mistake the first time around. It's got a monk in a blue robe against a really stark black background, and then
looks like a movie poster.
Yeah, Namaste on top in like flaming sword. Like, it looks really cool. It looks like a poster for a movie I would want to see.
It looks kind of like this.
Right.
Just saying.
Okay, so if you're on video, you can see it. It's a really cool.
The original Namaste cover.
And I like it a lot. Now the one we have now, it doesn't look like it looks like a movie poster in a very different way, but mostly it looks like a book cover, right? It looks like a book cover, and there's a difference between a really attractive image and a book cover, like an image that is meant to sell books. So I would go with the one that looks like it belongs in your genre, that looks like other books in your genre, but hopefully better. Because I think genre is really important when you're picking a book cover and when you're trying to sell books. And so it's our human tendency to go with the thing that looks most attractive, but that's not necessarily what you want to look for. You want to study other books in your genre and pick something that has fonts and weights and layout that looks like a book cover.
My wife learned that lesson the hard way. She went with a thing that was attractive instead of
always a mistake. Yeah, always a mistake.
Tammy Lebrecht says, have you guys seen this Perch Desk thing on Kickstarter? You guys narrowly edged it out for my money, LOL. Didn't you get that?
I did. I only found that because I was on Kickstarter because ours just went live, and I found it the day that ours went live, and I bought one of those. I bought the 38-inch one. I'm really excited about it, so yay.
When does it actually come?
It doesn't ship until February, which I'm really sad about.
I want a desk before then.
Yeah, but whatever. I have I'm using my bookshelf over there in the meantime. It's fine. But yeah, I thought it looked really cool. It was a really neat project, and I was excited to back it. So yeah, I did. I did see that, and I did back it.
Garrett Robinson asks, when are we launching the new porn video imprint Sterling and Bone?
Garrett, you are a card. Hilarious.
All right. Garrett's going to be writing our comedy line.
Okay, is that it? Do we
That's-
get one more
that's-
voicemail?
That's all I got on YouTube.
That's all you got on YouTube? All right, yeah, let's play the last voicemail. Here we go.
Awesome.
My name is Craig A. Price Jr., not Craig Price the murderer. Don't Google me. No, that's not me. I have 4 completed books. 3 of them are epic fantasy and part of a series. 2 of those 3 are novels, books 1 and 2. The 3rd is a novella and prequel to the main series. I already have book 3 started. My funds are low and I really can't afford an editor. But I'm not as arrogant as Johnny with my editing abilities. My books are bought that with my first book, The Crimson Claymore, being one of the first featured books on the site. That book has been well received with over 2.5 billion reads, over 10,000 votes, and over 1,000 comments. I have 6,000 followers on there as well. I've tried crowdfunding my audience, but haven't gotten near the response I need for paying an editor. I know I have fans that will follow me and buy future work, but they're not there to help crowdfund. My question is this. What do you think would be my best option for moving ahead and self-publishing? Should I clean it up as I can and get it up on Amazon and try to get a professional editor later? Please tell me your thoughts. Love the podcast. Keep up the great work. Appreciate it, guys.
Do you guys want to run a crowd funding campaign to get our listeners new phones? Guys calling from outer space
I think he was in a
today? I don't
tunnel.
know. Yeah, I think so too. I think the bottom line question is,
For the record, this
broke,
is
no
exactly
editor,
like
right?
my shitty phone connection.
Hi, this is Dave calling here from
Yeah.
Tunnel.
yeah. So if you're broke, how do you get an editor?
Trade sexual favors.
Okay. Well, I had a very hard time listening to that or hearing that question, but did I?
As did I, but that was the way that I got it was he needs to get an editor and he doesn't have the money to do so and he needs to finish up his
Should he just
series
put the
and-
book out there, try to do the best he can, put it
The
out
first
there?
part of that, didn't he say that the book had done really well? It had a lot of readers and it sold really well, and he had
Yeah.
an audience.
But not enough of an audience that he feels he can, get funding or something for an editor ahead of time for another book, I guess. Like, I guess he didn't make enough to get an editor for the next book. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, there are degrees of editors, and you can pay a lot for an editor, but I think you can pay something. Like, go to Elance and find an editor with credentials and a high star rating who will do it for relatively inexpensive. And unless if you have a 100,000 word book or something, you can get an edit for a modest price. A couple $100 on Elance, and that may hurt, but that's so relatively inexpensive for publishing a book, compared to just about any other business that you're doing. And mow lawns, save up a little bit, make sure you don't buy coffee, out for a couple of months, but don't shortchange your readers. You may want to upgrade your edit later, but I wouldn't go to market without an edit.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Dave.
Well, it is, it is a very important business expense, and we've had less than great edits in the beginning, and I feel that, we succeeded in spite of them, but they really could have hurt us if we had maybe less readers or something. I don't know, or people were a little choosier, or the story, wasn't whatever it was that they overlooked them.
I just today I saw our Yesterday's Gone season 1 up on Barnes and Noble, and we had it was a bad review about, I really liked the story, but it was a 3-star review. I really liked the story, but there's so many editing issues, and I was ouched. I was like, well, that sucks because we've had all these re-edited, and then I looked, and it was 4 years ago. It was a really old review, and then I felt fine. I was like, oh well, we deserve that, right? And I think that if you're trying to build a reputation, I really feel like you can find an inexpensive edit and you can do enough with your budget. Spend $10 less at the grocery store for 3 months, for each week. Just $10 less at the grocery store. Pay for your edit that way. A lot of time, it's like saying I don't have time to write. What you're really saying is I'm not making time to write. I'm not being cavalier. I know stuff's expensive. But really, I've had nothing. I've had not enough money to buy milk, and I've still made time and money for the things that I needed to grow the business. So I think it's just prioritize. And if you're really serious about publishing, and then you have to take your readers You have to respect them and get a quality edit.
I would also say you can use this with caution, and you really should use a pro. But in certain cases, you can find beta readers who are at least competent to catch a lot of the stuff that your eye won't catch.
But it can't be you, is the bottom line.
Results may vary with that. You have some beta readers who are just excellent at just catching things. That's just the way their eyes and their brains work. And some are going to suck. And so if you have the wrong beta readers, then it's going to look sloppy. And why did you even bother? Having a few can help that out. If you have a team who wants to read your book and are willing to give you typos. Garrett actually came to our attention originally because he used to read everything that we wrote and then send us very detailed edits. Like he did. He'd take screenshot. He read on his phone, I think, and he'd take screenshots and highlight the things and then explain the comment. And so you can have people like that. I mean, Garrett caught a lot of our crap.
Right.
It's exactly 9:30, so I guess
drop
we're
the
done,
mic.
right?
We're out.
Peace out.
Okay, so
Thank you.
thanks everybody for hanging in through all of the talk of oral sex. Appreciate you guys hanging in there for that. Maybe it's what you came for. I don't know. I didn't even intend it. But we'll see you next week for those of you who survived. Or not next week.
Wait, we're doing another one of these next week? Oh, no.
Next month.
Because Dave likes them so much.
Actually, the next one is going to
And,
be on
there you go.
Thanksgiving Day. Because that's when you do it, right? That last third Thursday in November. Yeah, so we'll see you on Thanksgiving.
No, we won't.
Not literally.
We're not going to do that?
No.
All right, well, we'll see you sometime in November. And if you listen to the SPP, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, thanks everybody.
Peace out.